Welcome to the OPM Report, a series of programs focused on informing you about key government policies, programs, and initiatives and how they affect you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Government continues to focus on its mandate to help provide affordable housing options for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The Victoria Keys development began in 2005 under government's affordable housing policy. However, a shift in policy under the last administration transformed this project into a high-priced luxury development.
Initially, the intention was that we were going to build lower middle income housing in this area. And the units were built to that effect. And those of you who have been around property would know that it is the finishing usually that puts the finishing price on property. And the government changed, and there was a rethink by the other new government where the finishing was changed. And of course, today's finishing is as good as you would find anywhere in the private sector. But we spend so much money on changing the finishing and adding certain facilities and so on and so on, and bringing this property to the level of any other in the country, that we moved outside of the ability of the state to make these units available to persons who are not able to face the normal market. It would have been inconceivable in the housing distribution program for lower income and lower middle income persons to make properties available at the cost of $3 and $4 million.
In these challenging economic times, measures that ease the burden on citizens and curtail public sector wastage are more important than ever, and our government is committed to implementing such solutions. Government's legislative agenda kicked into high gear in February, with bills to counter terrorism and improve the criminal justice system being laid for debate in the Parliament. However, the most contentious was the Tax Information Exchange Agreement Bill, which facilitated the implementation of FATCA. The Foreign Accounts Tax Compliance Act allows for increased cooperation between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States. It seeks to address the issue of tax evasion and other white-collar crimes. After much contention from the opposition, the bill was eventually passed in the lower house on February 23, 2017. This ensures that relationships between local banks and foreign banks remain intact, and citizens do not have to bear the burden of increased costs that would have resulted from non-compliance. The government of Trinidad and Tobago remains committed to partnering with its CARICOM neighbors towards continued regional growth and development. On Wednesday, 8 February 2017, Prime Minister Rowley received a courtesy call from Mr. Carl B. Greenidge, Second Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The occasion also marked the official opening of the new Guyanese High Commission in St. Clair, Port of Spain. Prime Minister Rowley subsequently traveled to Georgetown, Guyana, to meet with President David Granger and to attend the 28th Intersessional CARICOM meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government. Upon his return, the Prime Minister briefed the media on the outcomes of both meetings.
Arising out of those discussions, we have agreed to build up an immediate relationship between the technical people of Trinidad and Tobago from our oil company with the people of Guyana who are building up or setting out to build up the administrative framework to deal with their production sharing contracts and their ministerial oversight as required by an oil producer. We in Trinidad and Tobago are in a position to provide substantial assistance and technical support for Guyana, and we've made those offerings to Guyana, and the government of Guyana is very interested in working with Trinidad and Tobago and strengthening CARICOM's self-sufficiency in fuel. Guyana expressed a willingness to encourage Trinidad and Tobago and other members of the CARICOM to take advantage of one of the resources that's readily available in Guyana, and that is agricultural land, to take steps to increase food production and feed production, food for human consumption and feed for livestock consumption. And Guyana expressed some disappointment that even though it had been willing to make these lands available, not much has happened. And we are to become a little more aggressive in trying to put those lands into production. This meeting focused mainly on the need for expansion of our economic activities and in an attempt to further our economic development. And against that background, what had come back on the table at the request of Trinidad and Tobago at the last meeting in July was the whole question of the single market and economy. So at the last meeting, the heads had taken a decision to ask the Secretariat to prepare a comprehensive report on the status of our efforts at establishing single market and economic conditions, and to make that report available to this meeting. That was done, and this comprehensive review was presented to the heads, and a lot of our time was spent focusing on that.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the OPM Report. To view this and other episodes, and also to get more information on key government policies, programs, and initiatives, go to www.opm.gov.tt.